Is ChatGPT working on it, or is it just stringing you along? So something I've noticed a lot more recently is when I give ChatGPT a complex task, a complex writing task, it will often come back and it'll say, okay, this is my understanding. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm now working on it and I'll get back to you when it's done. And then nothing happens and you wait and wait and wait. Nothing happens. So you follow up and say, are you still working on this? And ChatGPT will come back and say, yes, I'm still working on it. It's coming along great. I'll let you know when it's done. And then you would just wait essentially forever. It will never follow up. Then if you come back and say, can you do this task right now? It will come back and say, okay, yeah, for sure. And it'll just do it right away. So it makes you feel like there's something going on in the background when in reality, I don't think there is. And I've actually asked ChatGPT itself this question. I said, are you actually working on this in the background, or is this just something that you're telling me? Is there actually active writing and research going on in the background? And it actually came back and said, to be completely transparent, I don't actively write in the background in the sense that you would think I do. It happens instantly. So when I say I'm working on it, I'm essentially just prompting you for your next prompt. And there's actually nothing happening. So just kind of an interesting thing, because I've noticed this happening a lot more recently. And I don't know if it's like an overload on their servers or what it is, but just an interesting note. And maybe somebody else knows more than I do. I'm not an expert on how all of this stuff works in the back end and how it works with their servers. But just an interesting point and a tip that if ChatGPT comes through and says that it's working on something actively, in most cases it's probably not, and you need to prompt it to continue the chat and conversation. Now, this doesn't apply to deep research. When you're using deep research in ChatGPT, it does take time to go through and do research online to craft a more in-depth and detailed answer. That's different, and that gives you a progress bar so you know what's happening in the background. And I think there's some other alternatives as well, like when it's analyzing documents, but in most cases it tells you what it's doing. It tells you it's analyzing, it tells you it's reading documents. But what I'm referring to is when you prompt it and it says it's doing something, and it'll say, I'll be back in a moment with my response, and then of course it never does. So interested to know if other people are having this issue a lot more with ChatGPT lately, if anybody knows any more, has more insight on why it does that, and maybe even different prompts that we can use to avoid it in the future so it's not disruptive to your workflow.